Okay, so I will start with what? Okay, we'll start from maybe left to right. So what is this module? It can be used as a preamp if you want to plug a guitar or a bass or even another synthesizers to amplify it. But also it contains a contact microphone, and we are going to listen to the sound of this microphone. So it's just recording, it's like using my entire case as a microphone and recording everything I do in this case. It might not sound very interesting, but then I will process the output of this module by rings. So what is rings? It's a resonator. It's a module that simulates the physical properties of material. So it will be like taking this motion or excitation I do on the microphone and apply it to a piece of glass or a gong or a string. Okay, so that's a first module, and you can use it also to process external sound, or you can use it as a sound source in itself. So let's go through another module. So this one, Platts, it's a new one. I mean, it has been released a couple of months ago, and it's a sound source with a different algorithm. So you can use it. Generate classic analog waveforms. You can use it to do wave shaping synthesis. FM synthesis. Speech synthesis.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
and there are different banks of words, and some kind of random granular clouds. Different kinds of noise. And you can also use it to generate percussive sound. particularity of this module that it has a built-in envelope generator, which is connected to all the CV input in which you don't have anything connected. I will take an example. So, if I patch a CV input there, you will see that I apply an LFO on the FM parameter. So it's a bit like, instead of doing that with my hands, I use a CV to do that automatically. But if I don't patch anything there, I can have a decay envelope applied to this CV input. And the module thus can be used to generate percussive sounds. Which means that you can use this module as a percussive voice without the need to connect it to a filter or VCA, or you don't need to have a separate envelope to apply this envelope to all parameters. Okay, so I will now present another new module which I've released recently, which is called Marbles, and this is a random generator. So I will explain you so what's going on with this module. So the first thing this module can do is generate clocks. So what you are hearing now is a clock output from Marbles, triggering an FM sound from Platts, and this is what we are listening. So you can control the clock rate. And you also have this jitter parameter to introduce randomization in the clock. So at extreme settings, you have something completely random, completely regular, and in between you have something regular with some slight variation, the same way someone playing the drums will sometimes make a tiny timing mistake. So starting from this clock with randomization, you can see that at every step, the module takes a random decision and decides whether the clock will appear on this output or on this output. So it's like tossing a coin and deciding if it's heads, there will be a signal on this output. If it's tails, there will be a signal on this input. So what I'm going to do is trigger rings with this second trigger input. See, every time there is a trigger on this input, I have this bell sound from rings. And with this knob, I can control the probability of getting a clock on this output or on this output. So for example, if I set this knob in this position, I will always get my clock there. If I put it there, I will always get my clock there. So another way of using these outputs is to do random clock multiplication or clock division. cluster subdivision of the main clock, and it's using a random clock ratio each time. But you can also freeze this randomness. Or you can let it go completely randomly. Another module with the other clock output. It's an interesting tool to create random rhythm. And the second part of the module is generating random voltages, and I can patch them to whichever destination I want. And in this case, I'm using them to control the pitch of my. The module is generating a random melody. But what I can do is that control this melody and lock it on a fixed number of steps. For example, I will lock it to 3 steps. I can also progressively introduce mutations in this melody. Like once in a while a new note is added in the melody and it just keeps on changing. Or I can just lock it. And once the melody is locked, I can transform it, transpose it. Spread the notes apart. Or just move them, collapse them back to the same note. I'm changing the direction of the loop. And with this knob, I can select to which scale the notes are constrained. In this position, there is absolutely no constraint, so it doesn't really sound like a melody. And as I turn the knob, I will enforce a specific music scale. I will continue turning the knob, and the scale will become poorer and poorer with fewer and fewer notes. At this extreme setting, there will be only octaves. Only
of course.
Okay. So now I will show you this module. Stages, which is a complex envelope generator. So for this experiment, I'm going just to start with a 2-segment envelope. And I'm triggering the envelope with ears, just by tapping. And I will take the output of this envelope and just map it to the pitch of a filter used as an oscillator. So with these sliders I control the attack time and decay time. Nothing very original. I can also control the response curve of the envelope. Okay, so now let's do something a bit more interesting. Let's do an envelope with an attack, a sustain, and a decay. And with this knob, I will control the duration of the sustain phase. But we can do even more complicated envelope shapes. For example, I will make an envelope with 2 sustain stages at different levels. I can make an envelope with 4 sustained stages and different levels. Or I can even create segments which wait for a trigger before continuing. So what this module does is that it offers you all the intermediate stages between sequencers, envelopes, LFOs. All these different kinds of modulations can be done by this module just by creating different sequences of segments. Instead of saying, I will just use an ADSR envelope, you can really get down to the details of saying, I want to create, I want my sound to stay constant for a certain amount of time, then ramp up to a different level. It's a very flexible way of creating modulations. And then, so this one is more for the hardcore fans because this is an update of an existing module. So some of you might be familiar with Tides, which is an oscillator and LFO. So we're going to listen to the output of the module. So the idea that you take a triangle wave, then you can modify the amount of time spent in the ascending and descending phase of this triangle wave. Then you can apply a wave shaper on that. And then a wave folder on top of that. get a large palette of sounds. So on the original version of the module, you had 4 outputs with the original waveform, a pulse signal, and on this version of the module, you can use different modes for these 4 outputs. The first one, you can control a knob. You can use this knob to select to which output the signal is routed. So, for example, if you use the module at low frequency, you can use this to route a modulation to a different destination. For example, I'm just you can also do that at audio rate. So I'm taking this oscillator and I can route it, for example, to a filter. So I'm going to just listen to my oscillator through the filter or to a resonator. Another way you can use this 4 output is to use a different phase ratio between them. So you can see that they are all going in phase, but you can start to introduce a phase difference between all of them to get a quadrature output. And finally, the last one allows you to use a different frequency for each output. So as I turn this knob, I will increase the frequency of the last output, and you will get an intermediate frequency on output 2, 3, and 4. So you can use it to get different LFO that are still synchronized in time. So you get a master LFO going at a quarter note, and then the second LFO at an eighth note, and so on. And if you use that at audio rate, you get chords. What I'm going to do now is modulate the amplitude And that's it for today. Maybe you have any questions about my new modules or things I've just presented.
What toys are coming with them?
I don't think there will be new toys before the end of the year. So if you buy the module before the end of the year, it will probably another one of the ones you have already. If you're a big fan. Yeah.
So are you working on a new cloud?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So basically, the code is done. There is a hardware prototype that is working fine, but the microcontroller I'm going to use in this module is not mass manufactured yet. So I'm just waiting for ST Microelectronics to ramp up the production of the microcontroller, and then it will be possible to release the module.
What's special about this new microcontroller?
It's so in the Cortex-M family, it's the fastest. It's 400 megahertz, and also there is a significant larger amount of RAM built into the module. So concretely, what this means is that the module will work at a higher sample rate with better quality, especially in terms of transposition and time stretching, and also you will be able to work with larger buffers.
So it will be done this year, or?
I don't know, I'm not ST Microelectronics, unfortunately, but I really hope it will be ready by December.
Okay.
And one more question about the wings. I like a lot, but sometimes it sounds a bit distorted.
Yes.
Is there a way to reduce the output, the volume?
Are you using the internal exciter or an external source?
No, only from the internal sounds.
So usually
Sometimes it
you have to
depends on-
reduce brightness or damping,
Yeah,
but
sometimes it's a bit hard.
yeah, I mean with physical
cannot
modeling,
reduce
things can be quite unstable. So there is a limiter on the output, but sometimes it takes a bit of time for the limiter to catch up. So there is no obvious solution besides reducing brightness or dampness. Yes? Oh, sorry.
Thanks for the presentation. What's the what frequency can you modulate your CD inputs with the new modules?
On Platts, it's up to 6 kilohertz, and on stages it's 2 kilohertz, and marbles it's 6 kilohertz too. Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the fact that it's all open firmware and people do their alternate firmware. I've always wondered, do you have an input in the process or the design of someone who does an alternate firmware, or do you just let them do their thing and then?
No, they just do their thing.
do
It's
it
like
themselves, yeah?
totally independent. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes if they have questions, they ask me, or like things. For example, they tell me that they are getting close to the maximum amount of CPU or flash memory, and they ask me, is there anything I can remove that will give me a bit more headroom? So I can tell them, yeah, okay, I'm aware that I don't know, the lookup tables for this or that are quite big. So if you want to save memory, you can cut down on that.
Would you ever change the design of the original firmware to accommodate someone who's doing something else?
Usually no. I think there are a couple of changes from Parasite that I have folded back into the main cloud firmware. I think it was related to the law of the dry-wet balance. And also there are a couple of changes from the alternative firmware from Breads that I also included in version 1.8. So for example, in the first version of the firmware, there were only a couple of presets from the envelopes, and then I noticed that people really liked modifying the attack and decay independently, so I added a distinct settings for that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
How does the chord sequencing work if in Tides, where you're using it to generate a chord? Because I mean, it's similar in concept to Just Friends, but that's really tricky to sequence nicely a chord progression. So I just wanted to.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want like a major 7 chord, it's not possible to use it. It's you have. A table of predefined frequency ratio. So there is 1, 1.25, 1.5, 2, 3, and it's just spreading increasingly through this table. So, and in fact, because you have this perfect ratio, it will be just intonation chords. It won't be equal temperament chords.
This question might be tough to answer, but when I first read about stages, I thought this is so obvious. Why did no one ever came up with something like that? How did you get the idea for it? Because it's really, when you use it, it's just, you wonder why there's no module like this.
Okay, so actually people tell me that your modules are so innovative, and there is one invention I came up with that nobody really noticed, which is the idea that a module can detect whether there is a patch cable in an input or not. So I think that I'm the only manufacturer who is using this trick to do that, and stages cannot be made with this trick.
Okay.
So I think maybe some other manufacturer came up with the idea, but they didn't have the like technology. It's a big word, but technology to be able to detect. Yeah, okay. So there is a cable patch here, so I'm going to create a group with these 3 ones. I'm the only one at the moment who is doing that.
Hey, don't get me wrong, I still think this is very innovative, but it's a so obvious idea, and if you use it, it's so easy to use and so simple. It's just
but
brilliant.
in terms of design process, I was looking to make a successor for Pix, and Pix just add these 2 modes, like one mode in which you have the 4 knobs for 4 parameters, and the split mode in which you have the first 2 knobs for one envelope and the other 2 for another envelope, and then it was just a matter of taking this idea to the next level. Thank you very much.